Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of To The Point podcast. Beautiful Sunday morning here after about 15 centimeters of snow last night, but it was the perfect day to stay inside and watch some World Junior Hockey Championships. It was a quarterfinal Saturday. We saw a quadruple header with Russia and Germany kicking it off, but a great day of hockey. You know, every game was close, which we haven't seen yet in the tournament. But this is the reason you have 8+ teams, because you give these smaller nations a chance to play. If it's only Russia, Canada, Sweden, United States, Finland every year, yeah, it's going to be good hockey. But they're going to be Germany didn't win yesterday, but they gave the Russians all they could handle, and I think it sent a message to Russia that they better get their shit together, or they're going to be going home very soon. But yeah, just starting at 1, the day finishing a little after 2 a.m. Eastern. Just a great day of hockey all in all. And obviously the quarterfinals are tomorrow, but the semifinals are tomorrow. But I'm going to start off by we're going to go in order through the games and just my general outlook and feelings about them. Russia against Germany. Russia won 2-1. They outshot the Germans 27-20, but really Germany should have won the game, and they lost because of their special teams. If you're a nation that has less talent than your opponent, you need to capitalize on special teams. And Germany went 0 for 5 on the power play. That just can't happen. You need to score on one of those. You need to score on multiple against the Russians, and they didn't really have great power plays either. They didn't generate a lot. The Russia penalty kill is fantastic. It's second in the tournament. It would be first now because the United States let in a power play goal last night. But it's clicking at close to 97% for the tournament, only allowing one power play goal. They're aggressive. They do not let you, when you get the puck, they don't let you breathe when you have it. And another killer for Germany was allowing Ponomarev to score a shorthanded goal in the first period. You can't let that happen. It was a beautiful set play. He won the draw. The puck went to the defenseman. He went D to D in the zone. But by the time Germany reacted, Ponomarev was almost at the opposing blue line. He went streaking in on a breakaway, made no mistake. And really, it was this that cost them the game. And I got to credit the Germans' top line of Florian Elias, Tim Stützle, and John Jason Peterka. Elias, I really didn't know coming into the tournament. He's small in stature, but the kid can bring it. He scored the only goal of the game. He had a crossbar as well on a deflection from a Peterka shot. And the Germans gave the Russians everything they could handle. Askarov had a solid start for the Russians. Something to watch out for, they're going to be playing Canada, is his rebound control. He kicks out a lot of rebounds, and you don't want to be doing that against a team like Canada with the likes of Dylan Cousins, Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs around the net. They're going to finish some of those scoring chances. And really, Germany, this whole tournament had one line going. They have a very good defenseman that I think will be an NHL player, Simon Nip. He was number 3 for Germany, assistant captain. He's a really promising prospect. But Elias, 9 points. Peterka, Stützle both have 10 points apiece. A great showing from Germany. The way they started, losing, having 3 lines and like 5 defensemen, getting some players back, winning against Slovakia in overtime. Mario Zimmerman scoring that goal. He's another player to watch, I think. When it comes to the NHL and where he goes, I really like his game. He was one of the 3 top players of the tournament for Germany. So yeah, just a great effort. And for those 3 right now are still top 5 in tournament scoring. So kudos to them, losing all those players and battling back, beating Switzerland, beating Slovakia, and then giving Russia a run for their money here is nothing to be ashamed at. It was the first time that Germany's ever advanced to a quarterfinal at this tournament. And it might be Stützle's last World Junior, because who knows how he'll play with Ottawa this year. It was reported after the game that he's heading to Ottawa last night. He has to quarantine for a period of time, test negative on some COVID tests. but he'll be in their training camp. He'll likely be on the ice before the season kicks off. And the way he played in the tournament, I think he'll be an NHL player this season. I don't see why they wouldn't give him every opportunity. He's got to work on his defensive game a bit. I think he's a little too risky with the puck. He gets stripped a lot, and it can turn into opportunities for the other team, which I think will only get magnified in the NHL. But when it comes to offensive creativity, his shot, and even a great passer, I see the sky's the limit for this kid. If you're looking at the tournament for two players, Quentin Byfield went 2 and Tim Stützle went 3. Now, the World Junior does not define your NHL career. I think many people get caught up in that. But if you look at these tournaments, Stützle and Byfield, it's not even close who's the better player. Byfield has had one good game, and he's been Casper the Ghost the rest. And Stützle was a factor, and he didn't get a point. This is the only game he didn't get a point for the Germans, but he was all around the puck. I mean, he was playing almost 26 minutes a game as a forward for Germany. So it just tells you how much he was on the ice, how often he was around the puck. So the Russians, they got Canada upcoming. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for them. They need Askarov to play well. Vasily Podkolzin, their captain, ever since his first 2 games, he might be the best player in the tournament. He's so strong. It's his 3rd World Junior. He should be stronger than these kids. He's playing for SK St. Petersburg, the top team in the KHL. But he looks like a man amongst boys a lot on the ice. Rodion Amirov has really found his stride too, the Toronto Maple Leafs first-round pick. But Podkolzin, to contain him is going to be difficult, but they need to do that. Canada, if they're gonna win. But Podkolzin, first-round pick of Vancouver. I'm sure they're hoping that he wants to come over to North America after this season. He's still under contract, but Vancouver looks like they got a good player there. So just a couple things to watch. I think in any game when you're playing hockey, goaltending is critical. And Skarov did what he had to do in this game, but I think he needs to be a bit sharper with his rebound control and stop playing the puck. You're not good at it. It only causes problems. I don't think any goalie in this tournament is particularly good at playing the puck. Devon Levi isn't for Canada. He shouldn't play the puck because he never does a tape-to-tape pass or does something smart with it. So goaltender, stay your ass in the net because there's so many good defensemen in this tournament. Just let them do what they got to do. But start today, great game came down to the wire. And Russia wins 2-1, and they went over 2 in the power play too, so they didn't score in their power plays. So something to look out for. The next game, Finland-Sweden. Now I mentioned the other day how Sweden started Hugo Unefelt, 3rd-round pick of the Tampa Bay Lightning, against the United States. He let in 2 really bad goals from terrible angles. They just can't go in. As a goaltender, they can't go in, and I didn't know if he'd get the start in the quarterfinal. I wouldn't have. I would have started Jesper Wallstedt. And this is just before even I talk about what happened in the game. This is just if I was a head coach, I would have started Wallstedt because he came in, made 17 saves in relief. He's been good all tournament when they needed him to be. But Sweden went the other way. Ron Mark decided to go with Unfeld. He was the top goaltender at the tournament last year, so I can't really blame him. 19-year-old, they ribbed him last year, so they got him again this year. But the game kind of started off a little slow. I think both teams weren't really ready to play. They were both sleeping through the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game. Shots were only 3-3. The play was sloppy. But it was at this point, with no team dominating, that Lucas Raymond buried one for Team Sweden. With about 5 minutes left in the period, he was on the right side half wall, looking over, he's going to pass, and he shot the puck behind by the hand of Kari Pirnanen for Finland. Beautiful shot, really creative play, and he makes it 1-0 Sweden. Then Finland takes a penalty 45 seconds later, and Raymond uses creativity again. He's got the puck on the half wall, fires it down to Elmer Holmstrom, who does the JVR between the legs, top shelf. So Elmer Holmstrom is 6'7". He's already 220 pounds. Yeah, he did. If you remember James Van Riemsdyk playing for Toronto when he was playing his best hockey, he would park in front of the net and he would do that between the legs and then go shelf or in the top right corner. Well, this is what Elmer Holmstrom did. At the beginning of the tournament, I thought the guy was just too uncoordinated. Being 6'7", he was a little awkward. But I think he's going to play in the NHL. I think he's got a good chance. I mean, Craig Button said that on the telecast yesterday, and he's interesting because he's so big. He's such a great net front presence, and he's got creativity with the puck. He won Player of the Game yesterday for Sweden, and really after the first period, Raymond and Alexander Holtz, who had a very disappointing tournament, went quiet for them. And he had to step up in a major way and play hard and play good minutes. And I thought he had a great tournament. And a beautiful goal. The second time we've seen him do it in the tournament, but I think a player to look out for going forward. But it was at this point, 2-0 after one. And Sweden does what Sweden does at this tournament. And a lot of, even, at the Worlds, they get complacent. They had a 2-0 lead. They think they're fine, and they kind of let their foot off the gas. And it was at this point that Finland made it 2-1. You see a beautiful play from defenseman Viro. He does a give and go with Brad Lambert. He's skating down the right side, just gets across the blue line, fires it to Lambert. He cuts in. Lambert goes right back to him, and then tic-tac-toe, he fires it from his backhand across the ice to Nikkanen, who's streaking down, makes no mistake, just over the pad, 2-1. Literally seconds later, Finland has a goal called off due to an offside, which was video replay. I'm not going to go over my stance in video replay again. If you guys have listened to the podcast, you know that I hate it. And but it was no goal. Beautiful play by Vinny Hinola. But no dice for Finland. 2-1 after two. Sweden 1 for 4 in the power play, so they're getting opportunities, just not scoring on them. But Unefeld had a strong. I mentioned I wouldn't have started him. He had a strong game. I can't really blame it on him. But from the second period on, Finland really carried the game. They were on pucks first. They worked harder in corners. They were coming out of the corners with the puck, and they just Hinola, Topi Niemela, Viro, these defensemen for them really joined the rush the whole game. And I've seen a lot of teams that defensemen are not doing this in the tournament. The Czech Republic last night against Canada, their defense just didn't get involved in the play. And I think Finland did it better than anybody yesterday in any of the games of their defense just joining the rush, being a part of it. And it really created opportunities. So Sweden takes a tripping penalty with about 8 minutes left on the power play. Captain, who was invisible against Canada, but really the biggest weapon when it comes to a wrist shot, Anton Lundell fires one, makes no mistake. We're tied at 2. So 2-2 game. It's the last 8 minutes are kind of frantic, but we're getting down to it, and it looks like we're going to go to overtime. Finland, Sweden both kind of just wearing out the clock. But Finland has one late surge. They throw a line out there. They get off a change. Sweden's a little bit tired. They crash the net. They get a really good scoring opportunity. Unefeld makes a save, but they get the puck low, and Hirvonen is behind the net. He's kind of looking like he's going to come out. He tricks Unefeld a bit, but the defenseman really didn't help with the gap control, protecting the goalie's post. Nobody came after him. So Hirvonen sneaks in on the right side, puts that on the backhand behind Unefeld with 24.5 seconds left. Finnish bench erupts. Sweden knows instantly that they're done. And the Finns came back from a 2-0 deficit to win 3-2 and advance to the semifinals. And this is just who Finland is and who Sweden is. Finland is a nation that never gives up. They've won 3 gold medals since 2014 with a population under 5.5 million people. And you'd think, why is Finland beating Sweden? But Finland finds a way to win these games. They're not more talented than Sweden, but they worked harder and they never gave up. And they're a better team as a collective group than Sweden was. And it was really impressive, against Canada in that last 10 minutes. I think Finland played. Before that, they really were sleeping and didn't realize that a game was going on. But you never want to underestimate Finland because they'll come out and play hard. But yeah, they battled. They never gave up, and they're on to another semifinal. This is just Finland at the World Juniors. I think they're a nation that has found a spark since winning in 2014, then winning on home ice in Helsinki in 2016 in that emotional game with Line A and Jesse Puljujärvi and Sebastian Aho. Those great teams have really sparked an interest in hockey, and I think it's also improved their coaching, improved their belief, because you see more and more NHL players come from Finland and have an impact on the game. So heartbreak for Sweden. They lost 3 in a row to finish the tournament, and we say it year after year, but this is a disappointment for them. They won a bronze medal last year, beating Finland in the bronze medal game, so a little revenge for the Finns. But Sweden just at this tournament, 1 gold medal in 18 years. It's just not going to cut it. And I really think they got to reevaluate their program because I don't think they bring enough players that have a lot of heart. They bring a lot of high-end skill, which is great. You need that. You need players that are going to make a difference. But I look at teams, Finland, who they played. You have Hirvonen, who would never give up on pucks. Lundell's a player to look out for. I mentioned the D jumping into the play. Pernanen, the goalie, never giving up. For Canada, Peyton Krebs. He's Jack Quinn. These players that can adopt roles, and maybe Sweden, before they come to this tournament, they need to tell their players, okay, this is your role. You're not going to score. It's not going to be your time to get 15 points in this tournament, and either accept it or you can go back to your team, your host team, and we're going to bring somebody who will. And it's just staggering to me that they don't get to gold medal games, that they don't get closer to gold medals because they have so much talent, and it's wasted every year on just performances when it comes to the medal round. So tough loss for Sweden. That moves on to really the feature game of the day, of course, Team Canada. I love Canada's game against Finland. Yeah, it was one of the best games I've ever seen a Team Canada play at the World Junior Hockey Championship, quite frankly. When it's not 16-0 or something, when they're playing, a team of their caliber, Finland looked like an AHL team playing against an NHL team in that game. Not the case here. Another performance by Canada where they win the game. So, good for you. But nothing spectacular. A 3-0 win for Canada. 28 save shutout for Devon Levi. A solid start for him. He's been fantastic all tournament. He came in, first 5 minutes of the game, he really struggled with rebound control. He was kind of like a Skarov for the whole game for the Russians. He was kicking them out into traffic, creating more opportunities, but he settled in. We saw some key saves in the second and third period. One that really jumps out to me is a shot by Jan Mysak with about 8 minutes left in the second period, where it was a high-end scoring opportunity. Myshak's a good player, and he didn't get a second look. After that draw, another opportunity, no rebound. And that's a sign of a goaltender that's locked in, and he's been the goaltender of the tournament so far. I don't even think it's really a debate. And another great performance from Devon. I'll touch on him again before I move on from Canada. But, first period, the first period was like the whole game for Canada where they didn't generate a lot. They did score 2 goals in the period, so I'll give them kudos for that. The first one, Dylan Cousins deflected a point shot. Connor McMichael got the puck. After he blocked it, Dylan Cousins went streaking up the ice. Connor McMichael did this little flip in the air over the defenseman, right onto the tape of Dylan Cousins, who went down on a partial breakaway. Nick Malik made the save first, hit his body, then hit his pad, then kind of hit the inside of his leg and rolled into the net. 1-0 Canada. It was Cousins' 13th point of the tournament, and he's been fantastic. He's been so fantastic for them. It was his 7th goal of the tournament, and a great performance from him once again. Then not too long later, Adam Raska, who's a player for the Czech Republic, who's already been suspended in the tournament, who kind of plays on the edge. He does a really stupid play. He goes into the corner and hits Canada's defenseman who didn't have the puck. Really didn't make any sense. So Canada goes on the power play. They don't score on the power play, which they've been doing a lot lately, not scoring on the power play. But as the power play expired, Bowen Byram gets a shot. Malik stops half of it, but he makes a save, but then it still rolls in. So Bowen Byram makes his first of the tournament and makes it 2-0. Now, I've been hard on Bowen Byram just because I think he's really dangerous with the puck. No, I know this is the game, if you're a Colorado scout, that you want to show your fans. He was fantastic. Fantastic. Him and Drysdale, this is what I understand why Tony played them together tonight, because they were unbelievable. Unbelievable last night. I can't point out many great players from Canada last night, and I'll say a few more, but not many, because they were sloppy as hell. They didn't have really that great offensive opportunities, and they couldn't get a fucking breakout to save their lives against the Czech Republic. So, but Byram and Drysdale, the way they joined the rush, I mean, they played a ton. They both played over 23, almost 24 minutes each. Byram and Drysdale joining the rush. They really, when Canada had great opportunities, it wasn't the forward cycling it. It was the D up top. And I've mentioned before that Canada needs to use the defenseman more. Well, Byram, just his skating, and Drysdale, what I love about Drysdale's game at the point is sometimes D-men need to work to get open for a pass. As you're a winger, you have a guy on you poking at you. It's not that easy to give the defenseman the puck. And if you're on the boards and you pass it to him and he's a foot in front of you, that's a bad pass because your defenseman's in a bad situation and he's just gonna have to dump it in, and that's a turnover basically. So what I like about Drysdale is that he's on the boards, he'll move to the middle of the ice, he'll jump in, and he can get the puck in a scoring opportunity, whereas somebody just sit there and wait for the puck and then do nothing. They just get the puck and get rid of it. He's not like that. Byram was dynamic all night. He also had a great interview between periods, which is really the first one I've seen. He's fun, but a great game from the defensive pairing of Byram and Drysdale. I thought they were both fantastic last night and really showed why Andre Tourigny has used them so much in this tournament thus far. But the rest of the game, Canada really didn't generate that much. Nick Malik was solid for the Czechs, but he didn't have to be great because Canada wasn't really getting to the scoring opportunities. It was a chippy game. We saw a lot of good hits. Raska was kind of a focus for Canada. Braden Schneider laid him out. But no penalties for either team the rest of the game. And it was weird. Canada hasn't been taking a lot of penalties, so I'll credit them for that. They took one at the end of the game, which was Quinton Byfield, broken record. But the Czechs, Canada was the best period of play I saw Canada play was really the start of the second period to the first 5 minutes. They were dominant, puck possession. Again, D were very involved. I thought every D at the start of the period was very involved, but they're just sloppy. And the best compliment I can give them is their defensemen. I thought all of them had solid games yesterday. They defended well. Levi had to make 29 saves, but none of them, they're not that many difficult. I mean, when the Czechs pulled the goalie, that's a different story because it's 6-on-5. But I thought other than that, the Czechs They didn't, their D never came in. They didn't want to take a risk. And they should have took a risk before. It was a 2-0 game. It was like the Slovak game. Take a risk and you might lose 4 or 5-0. But what's the difference? You lost 3-0. Okay, you feel better for losing 3-0. Have your D join the rush, take a little bit of a risk, and then see what happens. But Canada's D defended very well. I mentioned Byron Drysdale. I thought Schneider had a strong game last night. Thomas Harley, who's been quiet offensively for Canada, I think he's having a solid tournament. And really, a guy who stood out last night for me was Justin Barron, head captain of the Halifax Mooseheads. I thought he had a very strong game. It's not going to be in the score sheet, but he defended well. He boxed out, and I think he's just a really strong defensive presence for the team. And he's got a role, and I think he sticks to it, and he plays it very well. So a good game for Justin Barron and some other key players for Canada's defense. Third period, Canada just wasn't breaking through. Connor McMichael kept getting scoring opportunities. He's still got a lot more to give. He had an assist on the Cousins goal, and he's playing with Cousins and Holloway, which is a great line for Canada. But a player that really needs to show up, or he needs to tell me he's playing in the tournament, is Cole Perfetti. He's doing nothing. He's a first-round pick this past year. Some people said before the tournament he's NHL ready. He's not NHL ready. Winnipeg, and they also got him listed as a center. I don't know if he's a center. I think he's a winger. When you're a center, you need to have that ability to move around the ice and play everywhere. You need to be everywhere. I don't see the work ethic from him, and I don't see the drive to get to those areas that the dirty areas to score goals. We see Jack Quinn, Craig Krebs, Cousins. Those guys get to those areas. Even Jakob Pelche, they'll go there. Perfetti's just on the outside. He'll let a shot go, la-di-da. And he needs to show up. He needs to develop the Peyton Krebs game, who I think was Canada's best forward last night. Again, he won player of the game for Canada the game before. But he just great defensively. He works for pucks along the boards. And he's just been a standout for me. He's not flashy, but he plays the game the right way. And sometimes that's more important than having high-end skill, but just being accountable and being a good team player. And I think he's all of that. With 5.5 minutes left, the Czech Republic pulled their goalie. They did get some great opportunities in that time. They got six shots at Devon Levi. He, of course, made every save. And with 2:50 remaining, Connor McMichael got a steal, goes down, buries the empty netter, 3-0 Canada, and they punch their ticket to the semifinals. Hopefully this is a good omen for Connor McMichael. He had been scoring, he's been hitting crossbars, been all around the net. So getting empty netter might just, get the monkey off his back so that he can score some big goals in the semifinal and hopefully the gold medal game for Canada. But, I've seen them play one really good game. And other than that, I don't think they played a good game. I don't give a lot of, again, I'm not a guy who gives credence. When you're a team that's good and you're playing a bad team, you should win. I'm not giving you that much credit for doing that. And maybe that's my fault because I'm not a fan of a team. So just for instance, the Raiders beat the Jets a couple weeks back, right? I'm not giving the Raiders credit for beating the Jets. You should have lost if Greg Williams doesn't make the stupidest call in the world. You beat the Jets. Like, you should beat the Jets. They stink. You should be embarrassed that it was that close. Cleveland last week. Okay, you're missing your 4 wide receivers. Okay, you still should beat the Jets. They're the freaking Jets. They got Adam Gase, their head coach. So maybe if I'm a fan, I'd appreciate a win's a win. But in this tournament, I see the United States on the other side, and they had a tough game last night too. Don't get me wrong. Slovakia has caused trouble for Canada and the U.S., but Canada is going to need to play that Finland game against the United States to win the gold medal. If they come in and play the Czech game against the United States, they're going to lose. unless Levi's Manny legacy back in the day at the World Juniors, they're going to lose that game. So they need to, again, Russia's not an easy opponent. I think Canada will get through Russia in the semifinal. Russia just hasn't been consistent enough for me, but it's always a great game, Canada-Russia. I think it'll be close because remember last year's gold medal game, how fantastic, how great theater that was. But Canada's got to figure it out here. And they've beaten the teams they've had to beat. They played one good team so far. They got a good team coming up on Monday night at 7:00. So that's their next test. And hopefully they take it and show a good performance before hopefully the gold medal game, which is Tuesday. So with a win, the semifinals tomorrow, the games are at 7 and 10:30. And the gold medal and bronze medal games are the next day. So it's a back-to-back. Bronze medal game, it's at 7:00 on Tuesday, and the gold medal game is on at 10. So back-to-back for these teams, but having not played since March, they should be fresh and good to go. On another note, Alex Newhook did not play last night. I hope he can come back and play just to see him play, obviously. I think Canada needs him as well. He adds that spark, another offensive, creative player for them. And they missed him last night. I think they'll miss him going forward. So hopefully Alex can come back. Hopefully he's feeling better and with a shoulder injury. But hopefully he can be back in the lineup for Canada tomorrow night. And then there's the nightcap. The last quarterfinal of the day, United States against Slovakia. And I mentioned, Slovakia gave Canada some problems in the preliminary round, only winning 3-1. Well, Slovakia gave the United States all they can handle. U.S. jumped out to an early 3-0 lead about midway through the third. Started off with an Arthur Kaliyev power play goal. Saw Cole Caulfield bury a beauty. 3-0. United States were cruising to another victory. But Slovakia didn't give up. They scored a power play goal at the end of the second. Then about midway through the third, they score a deflection, makes it 3-2. And it was dicey there. Slovakia started to get some opportunities. 5-on-5. It wasn't really even a close game. The United States were clearly dominant, but Simon Letoski played some good minutes for Slovakia. He kept the minute and kept it competitive. But with about 4:30 remaining, United States scored, made it 4-2, and then they had an empty netter and survived 5-2. But it's Slovakia. I give them a lot of credit too. They've given the two best teams in the tournament, in my opinion, a run for their money and give them a scare. And Robert Petrovicki, the coach, I give him a lot of credit just for having a game plan, sticking to it, and obviously being outclassed when it comes to high-end skill. But this is why you play the game, and this is why you include these nations that maybe aren't going to win gold medals. But it was a good game last night. I enjoyed watching it. And, the idiot Damien Cox yesterday on Twitter was tweeting about, during the Germany game, they only got 12 shots at this point, yada, yada, yada. And just let these kids play. You haven't had a good take in 25 years. Shut up. You don't even work for Sportsnet anymore. You're not relevant. And I just think let these smaller nations play. I like watching hockey. I'll watch any game anytime. And I just think it's ridiculous, this narrative that they should not include these smaller nations from the tournament. And it's just frustrating to me, just on a level of competition and excluding different people from the tournament. But with the United States win, Trevor Zegras added 2 points. He's tournament leader in points with 15. Cousins trails him by 2 with 13. But tomorrow night, it's Canada-Russia. It's the first semifinal at 7:00, followed by U.S.-Finland at 10:30. I predicted before the tournament that Canada would play the United States in the gold medal game. I'm not going to back off that opinion. I think they're still the two best teams in the tournament. I think both semifinals will be close. Russia, Canada, it's always a crazy game. I think the Russians will be motivated, of course, not only to win the gold medal, but they lost to Canada in the gold medal game last year, and they don't want to have that happen again. And they, I think they had a big lead last year. They blew it. I think they'll be really motivated. They got a new coach, Igor Larionov, behind the bench, and I think they'll be ready to play. But I think Canada will win it 5-2, 5-3. I think they'll Devon Levi will have some goals go behind him tomorrow, but Canada will find their scoring touch, win the game 5-3, and move on to the gold medal game. U.S. Finland. Finland, they need their defensemen to play like they did yesterday, really join the rush, be a factor to keep the U.S. on their toes. Spencer Knight has been solid for the U.S. in goal since being pulled in the opener. I think the U.S., again, they get through again, but a close game. I'm going to say 4-2 with an empty net. So 3-2 the whole game, 4-2 empty netter. And that sets up Canada and U.S. In the gold medal game on Tuesday. And obviously Finland and the Russians will play for bronze. But a great tournament so far. And I'm looking forward to the semifinals tomorrow. But when it comes, I love the 4 games on one day, back to back to back. Normally at these World Juniors, you have 2 rinks, right? So there's 2 games at the same time. So you kind of miss out on seeing the other side of it. In this format, you got to see every game back to back to back. And it was great. I loved it. So I think it's something that the World Juniors should look at adapting in future tournaments. If you got multiple ice services and it's the same time zone, just spread out games where Germany and Russia had to play, I think, at 9 o'clock local or 10 o'clock local. Obviously, that's not ideal, but it's good for the fans. You got them sitting there all day watching hockey, so it's good for us at home. And yeah, tomorrow night, two semifinal games, and that'll decide who we see in our gold medal game Tuesday evening. Also today in the podcast, I want to touch on the college football semifinals. We saw pretty dominant performance from the Alabama Crimson Tide. Notre Dame was in it briefly. Notre Dame jumped out to a big lead, but the Tide they didn't let Notre Dame had their chances. They got a stop at the end of the first half. It was 21-7. Then Notre Dame missed a field goal, which wasn't even close to end the first half, which was kind of demoralizing. Notre Dame gets a stop again. They get the ball back. But on Notre Dame's next possession, Ian Book is intercepted. And that's really the end of the game. It really ended. Alabama got the ball back, scored a touchdown, and the game ends 31-14 Alabama. Notre Dame scored a late touchdown to keep it close, keep it somewhat close. But what this game really proved to me is Devontae Smith is your Heisman Trophy winner. Kyle Trask had the game against Oklahoma where he was really embarrassed. He didn't have his top tight end, didn't have his top wide receiver in Kadarius Toney, but 3 interceptions in his first 3 drives. That's ruling him out of it. We saw Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers get destroyed by the Ohio State Buckeyes in the second semifinal. I don't think you can give it to him anymore, so it's down to Mac Jones or Devontae Smith from Alabama. Sometimes they said the quarterback makes the wide receiver better. I think the wide receiver makes the quarterback better in this relationship. Devontae Smith is so dynamic. He's so quick. I don't know if I've seen a better college wide receiver. I think he's going to be so freaking good in the NFL. He's just a joy to watch, and I just texting friends who don't really watch college football. I said, just watch the game. Watch him. Watch number 6. And he catches his first pass, makes about 5 guys miss, goes in for a touchdown. He finished the game, 7 catches, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's got 20 touchdowns on the season. Mac Jones, he's got 40 touchdown passes. So half of them have gone to Devontae Smith. He's got the Heisman Trophy ceremonies Tuesday night. You can see that on TSN. But Alabama, they look great in the game. And this doesn't bode well for Notre Dame. Notre Dame is 0-2, and in 2014, they adopted this Final Four college football playoff structure where the committee picks the 4 teams. Well, Notre Dame's gotten destroyed in both their appearances against Clemson and Alabama. I don't know if you can put them back in anytime soon, because you put them in there and you want a close game and you don't get it. And they haven't been competitive in either game. And I just think it hurts their program moving forward when it comes to the committee really respecting them as a credible opponent for the likes of Alabama, Clemson, and the top end teams in college football. So that was the first game. Now, second game, me and Matt Wright talked last week about Ohio State. They played 6 games this year. They went 6-0, so way to go. But they come into this game playing Clemson. Clemson beating Notre Dame in the ACC championship game, playing good football. Only loss of the season coming without Trevor Lawrence, obviously the presumptive first overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft. It started off with Clemson looking great. They're up 14-7. Trevor Lawrence ran a touchdown in, throwing another. But we saw the emergence of Justin Fields. In the past couple of weeks, Fields has played, we mentioned last week, he's played 2 games this year against tough opponents, and he's been garbage in both appearances. Throwing for 118, 2 interceptions against the Indiana Hoosiers, and then against the Northwestern Wildcats, throwing for 106 and 3 picks. And the 2 toughest opponents, he looked terrible. Well, he made a statement against Clemson. Dabo Swinney came into the game ranking Ohio State 11th in his coaching rankings for teams to be in the college football playoff. And the Ohio State Buckeyes torched the Clemson Tiger defense. Justin Fields threw for 6 touchdowns and 1 interception and had a 99 QBR. So just to give you just a little information on QBR. QBR is quarterback rating, and incorporates throwing of the football for a quarterback, rushing, every play you make as a quarterback. So 99, 100, that's almost a perfect game. He made every throw. He's great to tight ends with Luke Farrell and Goddard. He made deep throws to Chris Olave. He did every type of throw that you need to see as a scout. I think he did in this game. He threw the deep ball well, underneath routes. They got another great game from running back Trey Sermon. But Ohio State made a statement. I think they wanted to rub it into Dabo Swinney, who ranked them that low, and give them a little fuck you, and we're better. Just because we played 6 games, we belong here. Now, I'll own up to it. I said last week they shouldn't have been in the Final Four. And I still think I'm not going to back off that opinion. They played 6 games. Texas A&M played 13. They played their bowl game last night. They beat North Carolina. Texas A&M deserved to be in the Final Four more than Ohio State. They weren't, but Ohio State got to the dance, and they made stuff happen after. So a week from tomorrow in the national championship game, we'll see Ohio State versus Alabama in Miami. It's one of my favorite nights of the year, the national championship game. It's obviously sad, the NFL playoffs are upcoming. It's the last full week today. And college football ending, the NFL will be over in a month. It's sad for me. Football just brings me so much joy in life, and such great theater. These other sports do it too, but not like football. It's not close. Hockey doesn't have the drama. Basketball doesn't have the drama of the NFL, and football as a whole. So, but credit to Ohio State, winning big against Clemson. I think the national championship game should be interesting. We'll see Clemson. Trevor Lawrence going to the NFL. He's leaving Clemson, going like 34-2 in his career, with 1 national championship, 1 appearance, and then a loss. It's a tough way to leave. I think he really expected to get back to a national championship game, but he'll be heading to the NFL. He could still go another year at Clemson, but obviously everybody expects him to go to the NFL, where the Jacksonville Jaguars will likely take him first overall. But Another opportunity for Justin Fields to really promote himself. Zach Wilson in the latest mock drafts from BYU was jumped up to the second pick in the draft. Justin Fields, I think, didn't like that, and he really showed, why he should be considered at the number 2 pick for the Jets. So Fields, great game for him, and a great showing from Ohio State and proving some people along the way. See that national championship game week from Monday, from Miami, and we'll see Ohio State and Alabama go toe to toe. But so yeah, today the NFL, the last week of the regular season before a wild card weekend next weekend. A lot of things still to be decided. Big games today for Cleveland, Miami, Indy, Tennessee, Baltimore. The Cowboys Giants game has a lot of playoff implications. So a lot still to be decided here. A lot of interesting scenarios still on the table. But enjoy the NFL today. I'll be talking to you tomorrow morning about today's action. Enjoy the World Juniors tomorrow night. But until then, take care, and we'll talk soon.